Hey, this is Draco Dark Raider. For those that like playing Baldur's Gate, there's a lot of good features it has, and while there's a lot of good weapons and armor, sometimes they can be a little expensive. So, some people find that it's good to have at least a rogue player on your team if you're not the rogue yourself, so that way, in case you need some extra cash, you could literally just steal it from a vendor. Now, this method has been perfected in the later game, around Act 2 and 3, where you use Feign Death and Fog Cloud, especially, to up your chances to basically perfection of stealing for someone. It can even happen late Act 1 if you want to, you just have to wait till someone learns at least the Feign Death spell. However, until you get to that point, most of the time you don't really have much of an option. Except that I have found a way to make it a whole lot easier for those that want to steal that early. I'm going to be showing you guys a method that pretty much can be set up pretty easily, and advanced setup of it technically would only push you up into like maybe halfway through Act 1. So you would still have all of Act 2 and Act 3 to do the main method with. This is just a method I'm about to show you that will let you get by until you get to that point. So, please enjoy the video. Okay, so for character creation, which is going to be our first point, since I'm going to show you every little step, this part, honestly, 90% doesn't matter. Your race doesn't matter, your sub-race, your... like, a lot of these actually won't matter at all. So, like, for instance, Dragonborn. If you can be an orc, elf, high elf, the only difference really between any of them is that there are some races with a slight increase in extra stuff that it gives you, but none of it is truly proficient and matters to what we're doing. Like, if you were to go for a drow, you've got perception check, like a perception in efficiency, which is pretty good, but as you'll see, none of these actually have any matter in the skills that we're going to want, which we'll get to in a moment. So we'll go with Dragonborn, because why not? Now again, sub-race doesn't matter. The only thing that matters, whether you're being the character yourself, you're picking Astarion as your rogue, or if you're picking someone else to respec. Of course, the baseline, which is obvious, is they need to be a rogue, whoever you're turning into the rogue, or whoever your rogue character is, because that's going to give us a lot of our benefits, especially because of the stuff they're going to learn in levels 2, 3, and 4. You could even multiclass into a rogue, however, that's going to take longer, especially because you start off as another race, start off as another type, and then you still have to level up all the way up to level 4 of rogue if you want the full benefits. But either way, that's how that. And this part with the background, it's good, but it's not necessary. So like, I would recommend the Urchin for a lot of people because it gives you that proficiency of sleight of hand and stealth, which is very good, like a +5 and +5 in sleight of hand and stealth. Now, I probably will pick this for this example, however, most of the time I do this successfully with Noble, which will give me a +3 in history and a +2 in persuasion, only because the persuasion helps with conversations, and this actually helps out a lot with certain things that you get inspiration for. Like if you're getting a lot of gold, you'll get inspiration for this. Now, for like what we're doing, I'm actually going to go Urchin, because I'm going to show you the best possible setup for a early game rogue, just until like you get the Feign Death spell and all that, which makes things like a whole lot easier. And to be fair, if you've picked Astarion, chances are there's a lot of this stuff that you won't even have to worry about. But outside of this, which is not entirely needed, but still, your abilities, skills, and expertise, these are the only 3 that actually matter outside of being a rogue, because these are where all of your stuff's going to go. Now, dexterity is the only ability you actually need to care about, and it's already maxed out if you're a rogue. So whatever your rogue character is, if this is at 17 on their character creation screen, then you're done on like what stats are needed, and you can adjust the rest of it if you want to, however you want. Now, what I like to do is actually different here. I like to flick this to charisma, and then I lower this by 2 and increase that by 2. The reason why I do this is because the charisma being increased by 1 is actually going to offset something but like that we're going to get in the game. Because as you can see, I'm not getting an increased modifier because the game increases it by 2s, not by 1s. So as you can see here, I've got like +1 for intelligence, +3 for saving throws. I've got even more for higher ones, but for like the 10, which is a 0, and then the 11s, which is a 0, I'm not getting increase in this. So at base value, it looks like it's pointless. However, there's an item we're going to get in the game, which is going to, this 1 point is going to offset its only negative. So we'll get to that. But the strength one, the reason why I put points into that and taking them out of wisdom is because with wisdom at 11, I'm still not getting any negatives on any throws that would like require wisdom. But strength, this allows, as you can see, it determines how far you can jump, how much you can carry, and it affects kind of like your physical prowess. Now, this pretty much means that any roll or anything that requires strength, if this was below 10, you would be at a disadvantage, which means that you'd be less likely to succeed. As well as the fact of like, of course, like having this at base 10, it means that you're not going to be too badly impacted of how much you can carry from the start. Because technically a lot of it also comes into, like a lot of people prefer to go into constitution, since that's your endurance and your hit points. But strength is actually still a good stat to keep at level 10, because that way you don't have to worry about any negatives. And with all of these above level 10, you start the game off at a perfect like ratio around the board. And again, the only stat that matters is dexterity. That is the only stat that you actually need to care about. Then we get onto skills. Now, again, the only skills here you need to care about are these two: sleight of hand and stealth. Now, ironically enough, I'm going to show you something in a moment. So like, you've got acrobatics as a 7 there, you've got deception there. Now, you can see, like, I can increase it here, but I can't increase it here. If you were to go back to here and do what I normally do, where you go into noble, and say I stayed as a noble now and I didn't go street urchin, like, you'll see my stats haven't changed, but you'll see now, that has a point, but that doesn't, because these start off as 3 instead of 5, because I don't have those 2 extra points added via the background. This doesn't matter, honestly, because if I scroll down here, deception is only if you're really going to go out and be a liar, and honestly, you can get away with perception checks in persuasion, and instead of deception a lot easier. So I always turn deception off. I put these 2 at 5, and I basically lost nothing. And then I go to skill expertise, and technically acrobatics is not bad, but at this point you've already got it at 5. You don't really need to care about it beyond that, so you can put these to 7. So either way, no matter if you're starting off as a street urchin or if you're starting off as a noble or maybe even another class, you could easily bomb both of these to 7 with a lot of the backgrounds. And if both these are at +7, you're already off to a good start, because these are your primary thieving stats. Like, don't get wrong, there are other stats that are pretty good. Like if I go into here, performance is not bad. I'd prefer it if I could put that into persuasion, but performance is not bad. I might actually end up switching that, to be completely fair, because I'd like to put it into perception, because seeing hidden details is actually quite helpful in the game, even like if some cases you don't get the roll, because I'm at a +2 now, but if I can increase that later, it'd actually be really good. And then if I go into here, like if I could, like you see, perception is now something I can also increase even further. But outside of that, yeah, pretty much these 2 stats here and your abilities, making sure that that's at 17, that is the only part of the entire character creation screen that you even need to care about. Nothing else matters. So next thing you know, there'll be 2 items especially. There's technically 3 if you include a certain armor, but we'll get to that. But I'm going to show you where the items are that you need, and I'm going to show you how to perfect this method by the end. So let's get on to the items. Okay, so the first item you're going to come across is, if you come to the map, you'll start here, and of course you'll make your way up. You'll find a Starion over here if you're going to make him your rogue. Then you go up here, like you've got the tomb area here where you can find withers and do all that stuff if you want to do that. But I always do, especially because you want the experience, and I'm actually going to get a level up to level 3 in a moment, which I'll show you the benefit of that as well. But after you do that, you'll come up here, and right here, just outside of Emerald Grove, is when you're going to have a fight against some goblins. Now, when you kill them, there's an item on one of them that is going to help you with this method, which is from this one. It is like Zakurg or whatever his name is. But he has these ones, the Gloves of Power, which, ignoring their first ability, they have a sleight of hand +1, which pretty much you want this multiplier already. And what we could do is, if I put that on now, slap that on, and now if I go to my skills, like I've got a +8 there and a +7 there, so already this is up to a good start. And this is actually going to help with an item we're going to get later. It's going to help with both the items we're going to get later, but this is just a nice little benefit to have, especially because to get something to increase one of your best stats basically from the start of the game is just something good. Plus it like has that extra little ability on top of that, which makes it just handy to have. Alright, so now before we move on to the next one, I will show you the level up. Because you only need, like, again, you could do this with a Starion or yourself, but this is where you get to choose what type of rogue you are. And this one's going to be the important one because there's one that's better than the other 2. So now you have the choice between a thief, an arcane trickster, and assassin. Assassin's more stealth attacks and actually just doing damage. Arcane trickster allows you to access to magic, which can be helpful, don't get me wrong. It actually has a lot of benefits there if you pick magic and go along that route. However, we're going with the thief option because fast hands gives us a second bonus action to use, which is actually something we want for this method, but it also has like some other quiet benefits, like help second story work, which means that we resist fall damage, and that can actually be quite helpful in case like you come across an issue where you have to fall from a high place, because sometimes like to get down you realize that you're gonna take a little bit of fall damage like prone. This just can reduce that by a bit, so we want that, and that's basically all there is to it, and you just lock that in. So we'll move on to the next item now. Okay, so for the other item that is very early on, and this is also the reason why we put that extra point into Charisma. So I'll show you where it is. Pretty much after you've done like, probably chatted to a few people in the Emerald Grove, you'll come across here, you'll go here into the Blighted Village, but you can continue exploring that way and go either down or that way to where the actual Goblin settlement is, or if you travel this way, one of the other pathways you can take is up here, right to the broken bridge, and like technically you'd go this way because Karlach is down there. You go up here for a few things. However, like while you got the Knolls and Karlach right that way, what you want to do is you actually want to turn this way, and there's actually a climbable wall right here. You want to climb down it, and I'm pretty much going to show you where the body is, because like unless you're an avid explorer, you technically wouldn't even know how, like, where it is. So yeah, there's a boulder thing there, but we can ignore that. We're going straight for the body, because the ring we're about to get is actually, for rogues, amazing to have this early in the game. Alright, so here's the body, right here, as you can see. Like, pretty hidden, like, unless you're like, you come all the way down here. But we have this one. Now, I'll grab them and then go to my inventory. However, here's the thing. As you can see here, I'll equip it so that way I don't have to worry about the description being blocked off. And I will zoom in so that way you guys can read it properly. But this is the Smuggler's Ring, which gives you a +2 in stealth and a +2 in sleight of hand with just a -1 of charisma. Now, this is the reason why I added that extra point into charisma. Because normally, if you left charisma the way it was, it'd be at a 10. So with this, it would be reduced to a 9, which means that if you had to do anything involving charisma, literally you would have an instant -1 because you would be under level 10s. You'd be at 9, which makes you have that minus. However, now we don't have to worry about being a disadvantage because we put it to 11. With this one minus, that basically just neutralizes it and we get back to 10. So we don't have to worry about any fails in charisma checks. And if we go to proficiencies now, as you can see here, my sleight of hand is now 10 and my stealth is at 9, which already is good. And I'm literally getting these just via my base skills and these two, the Smuggler's Ring and the Gloves of Power. I've literally done nothing extraneous. I haven't fought any major bosses in Act 1 to get these. Both of these I literally picked up from a random ass goblin that you have to fight anyway, and a body that's on the side of a road. That's how easy it is to get these. Now, there are items I will be going over, like, don't get wrong, there is an item, there's an armor later on I can show you, like, later in this video. After I show the method that I'm going to be showing on how to thieve, I will show you guys extra little tips to increase your percentage even further of like how you could increase your how can you increase that your chances of thieving perfectly this early, like more than what you have now. Because there's an armor set that you can get, there is a bonus you can get from Auntie Ethel down the bottom, and I'll be going over them. But pretty much right now we're set. We can actually pull off what we need to. The only thing we're missing now is to get the we need to get the next level up, which we will get soon, because like right now we're only at like half this bar, but like literally the very next point will be me showing you guys what to get for your feat, because there's actually a feat that is absolutely amazing for rogue players that you wouldn't think of it as what you would think to go for. So we'll get into that in just a moment. Okay, so the last little bit of setup here for just the base setup is this right here with turning your character to level 4, because ironically enough, the merchant that's over here is the one we're going to be doing the method on, because they have some really good items that will probably cost you all of your coin. However, you can get that coin back because the weapons are worth it, especially early game. And I'll be showing you guys how to steal money, and I'll be showing you guys on console how to separate money and make it easier to steal. So first off, let's do the level up. So whichever character you got as your stealing rogue, this is where you get the feat. Now, there is two things you could do here, and I preference the second one, but this first one is good too. So you've got the ability improvement, where you can pick two out of your entire list of abilities on the side there. You can pick 2 of them to increase by 1, or 1 of them to increase by 2. Now, while that is good, I would recommend going for one that a lot of people don't recommend, which is, I'm surprised no one actually tries to recommend this, Weapon Master. Because what this does is you get to pick up to 4 weapons from the entire weapon tree to become proficient in, and you get a increase to your strength or dexterity by 1 to a maximum of 20. The reason why I say picking this over the other one is because, again, the multiplier does not affect odd numbers, it only affects even. So yes, the other one, if you were to pick the top one and increase your dexterity by 2 points, sure, it's at 19 now, but that doesn't mean anything because you aren't at 20. If you get the increase for going to 18, but not to 19. However, if you pick this one, you can still turn your dexterity at 18. You also just get the benefit of increasing your how much weapons you can use. Because with this, I can put that to 18, which will give me the benefits as you can see there, and I can now pick any weapons I want. I can pick up to 4 of these, and I can become proficient with them. So like, say I want, like, honestly, I very much love using the glaives. So I can look through here, there's glaives, slap it on. And then because if this, whichever character is this is usually a rogue, you can go longbow proficiency, so that way, with that and heavy crossbows, now it does not matter what ranged weapon you give them, they will always be proficient in it. And now, with just that, they are now proficient with every ranged weapon you could possibly give them, on top of the fact that now my character is like proficient with glaives, and I still have one more. So like, hell, I could go, let's see, one thing I did on stream one time, Warhammer. I could click that, and now I could even give my rogue a Warhammer if I really bloody wanted to. And it's just things like that. You can do this however you want, but you still get the bonus to dexterity, but you get more on top of it. It gives you that little bit extra. So we'll click, I'll accept this in a moment, and then I'll just cut to showing you the method and little tricks and tips of how to go about doing the method, because it's very simple, very easy to follow, and I'm going to show you guys how to not only separate the money of the vendor, especially on console, but I'm going to show you how I do this method step by step, what to do, and basically how easy it is to do on repeat. So let's get into it. Alright everyone, so now we're going to get into pretty much how this is all done. And beforehand, I will quickly show you this. So thanks to the gloves, the ring, and now that extra point in dexterity that I have, you will see that my proficiency in sleight of hand is 11 and my stealth is 10, which makes it very helpful for when you're sneaking around trying to steal shit. So both these together, pretty much I'm set. I'm exactly where I need to be. And this method's pretty much now in place. There are other things I could have done beforehand to increase it even further, but I'm trying to show you how early you can do this, because if I go to my map, as you can see, I've explored basically nothing of this area, and on my main map, I've not explored anything at the bottom half of the map where Auntie Ethel is. Top part of the map where the burning house is, I have not explored there. So there's a lot of other key elements in Act 1 I haven't even done yet, and I'm already set up. Like, legitimately, after the things that I've shown you how to get, you just have, if you want to get to exactly where I am, you just have to make sure you've done a few battles to get yourself to level 4, to make sure you can bump yourself up to 18 dexterity. So now, before anything, there are 2 things you want to do. So first, talk to her, because the 2 things you want to do before you actually start stealing from her is, first you want to limit her money. And what I mean by limit is, right now you'll see that she has 540 gold. Now on PC, you can click and drag it to another box and split it. Pretty easy, right? Consoles can't do that. If I was to click on this right now, this box come up instead. Doesn't matter if I click and hold or if I click it. This box will always come up because that's how the console is programmed. However, there is a method here to trick the game. So if I was to click that, and now I've got 270, and if I do it again, 135, 68, and I just keep going. let's go 9. So now watch this. If I was to put that 9 back, see how it made a new stack? And that's exactly what this does. Every time you you put money back in her inventory, the stacks do not add together. They actually stay separated. So what you can do right now, and don't worry, I'm going to be cutting this out in a moment so that way you guys don't have to sit here as I separate all of her money. But here's the thing. Now you guys can watch me steal her money in an easier fashion, because I'm about to separate all her money till the point where it's so low values that she's not gonna be able to care. Literally, I'm going to show you in a moment how the only way I could possibly fail is technically with, I think, nat 1s, because even if the roll you need is a 1, I believe you fail just automatically with a 1. So outside of that, this method will basically guarantee you're always going to be successful in stealing her money. So I'm going to cut it out here, and then you'll see me in a second. Alright, so we have her money sorted. As you can see, all of them are in values of 8 to 9, sometimes even 7, and this is pretty much what we want, because this is going to make it that, again, we physically can't fail. So we'll get out of this.
Pleasure.
We didn't do a trade, so she's not going to complain. Now, what you want to do is you want to crouch and then enter turn-based mode. That part is very important. Now, while it's stuck like this, before I actually get into pickpocketing, I'll actually mention that other thing that needs to be done. Now, the Feign Death fog trick, I believe you can get at this point if you know how to do it. However, it doesn't really, I don't know if it works on this vendor because of these people right here. They have their line of sight. However, if I go to pickpocket her, I can actually go right around here, and as you can see, I'm still out of their line of sight, so they can't see me. But the one thing that you need to do is, there is several lights here. There's 2 little candles on the table, there's a chandelier, and then there's this little lantern here that are always on fire. Turn them off, because as you can see right now, it says light obscured, which gives you a better chance of staying stealthed. If you do not do that and you pretty much stay in the light, it will be a lot easier for you to get busted in terms of your stealing. I also, for good measure, turn the one over here off as well, but that's just me. Now, a bit of advice, whether you're playing for streams or doing it for fun, I heavily recommend dropping a save right here. Just dropping a save. Now, I say that because if you roll a nat 1 and you do fail, she is going to get cranky and then immediately attack you. Now, and if you don't mind that, if you're very happy to start a fight with her and kill her, feel free. However, if I'm remembering correctly from the one time I tried that, you do not get her gold in the full amount if you kill her in this situation. So try to avoid that. So I've dropped a save so I can pickpocket now. So as you can see, -1, and if I go down here, get through all of her stuff, as you can see here, all of these have a -1. Pretty much every single stack of gold will have a -1, which means that I legitimately can't fail unless I get a nat 1. So one other thing I like to do, just to help my odds of not getting a nat 1, or at least get the best I can before the unluckiness hits, because we did save, but still. So I like to get two rows for each time. So just keep going. So I've gotten two rows of the cash, and then I will end my turn. Now, as you can see, these 3 are over here. I've separated myself from my team, and I will show you a reason why I did that after this method, because there's actually a reason. So I'll skip past them. Now, there is one other thing to note, that you have 3 turns in this mode. In 3 turns is when pretty much she's gonna notice that she's being stolen from, and then you have a basically get busted during the next time you try. So what you want to do is you want to pickpocket. This is the second turn of it. On your third turn of pickpocketing is when you want to try back off. However, before you pickpocket here, drop another save. Just trust me, it will save you time and a massive headache from this. So go pickpocket, and now I can freely just pickpocket more money. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and see, I get busted. I can just easily load this save. Because again, even if it's at minus, if you roll a 1 technically, you basically will fail, regardless of however low the roll is. But that's only if you roll an at 1. So pretty much you should be fine as long as you do, like, you're careful. And if you're streaming and you don't want to save scum, that's perfectly fine. Just know that you probably should wait then for the other method before doing this, because even on the first go, you have a chance to get busted, and unless you're willing to save scum so that you could do this method, you are going to have to risk getting attacked and getting into a fight. And I also might want to add that if you pick a fight with these people, you pick a fight with the entire goblin camp. So if you're not prepared for that either, you are going to basically run the gauntlet. But yeah, we've picked up where we left off. So we'll go back to where we were. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we're not getting, it's not like we're not getting a good amount of gold. We're getting a decent amount of gold per turn. So now we're pretty fine. Technically, you could be greedier. The only reason why I only go for 12 is because it's a good amount to steal, and it makes it less likely to hit a nat 1 so soon. Now, you're more likely to fail if you find anything that's higher, as you can see. So like, if we were to go for the Monster Slayer Glaive, which is something I usually buy, this is something I have to roll a 10 for, which means if I don't roll a 10 or higher, I'm going to fail and they're going to get busted. So that's why we split the money up first before we steal, just like you would for the PC players. But there are even stuff that's like straight up 0 or straight up 1, because their value is so low, it honestly doesn't matter. So what we'll do now is we'll end, because we're only interested in the money at the moment. So we'll end. Let the turn pass. Now this is the turn where it finishes. So we're gonna save and do this a final time. Gonna pickpocket. Wait for that save to finish. There we go. So now we're gonna zoom all the way down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11. So that's all 12. Now I could be greedy. Let's see. I could show you how. Yeah, let's be a little bit greedy. So there we go. So we took 2 more. Just a little bit greedy. We don't need to go overboard. You can if you want. As I said, the only way you will fail is if you get an at 1. So you can see how far you want to push your luck. I'm just showing you how comfortable, like the comfortability I want to do. But here's where we do the bit of trickery here, because again, this is either for the people that really like the dangerous way of stealing, or for those people that don't have Feign Death / Fog Spell yet. What you can do here is, we haven't used our bonus actions. So what you want to do is move as far away from her as possible. Sneak away. because we want to be able to exit turn-based mode without her just turning around and being cranky with us. So what I like to do is, with a double dash plus your own movement, move all the way over here, basically across the room from her. Now what you want to do from here, end turn-based mode and flick to camp. That's all you want to do, because now I'm going to flick to Karlak, save just for this, and I'm going to show you why I actually separated my team from myself. Because see, yep, she's just realized she's been pickpocketed. She's going to start patrolling, figuring out the fuck. She's, as you can see, she's going to make a beeline right over here.
Thieves been picking pockets near here. This would be a good moment to explain yourself.
Now, here's the thing. If I click this,
Honesty speaks for itself. It seems you're free to go.
as you can see, I'm innocent. And basically that'll be where she leaves it. Now she'll be a bit bit on the alert phase right now, because of course someone just stole from her. Obviously she's gonna be a bit tense. Now as you can see, this is the reason why I separated my team from myself, because when you take your own character or whoever your rogue was, you will send them to camp and they will now be out of sight. They can't be arrested, they can't be busted, they are gone. However, the people that are left behind, because you separated them and they're all of us are over here, we basically are completely innocent, because we were completely out of the area where the thief took place. So now what I can do is I'm going to take the rest of my team and go to camp. Because, as I said, there's one last sneaky thing to add to this. So I will do this. I will flick to my character and make them all stand up. Now, a lot of people when it comes to the stealing money from a vendor, here's something extra you can do. There's some people that know this, some people that don't, but when you long rest, a vendor's money will resupply. So let's do a long rest. Alright, so that's done. We've long rested, and ironically enough, thanks to that being a cutscene of importance, we got to long rest without even using our food, which is great. So now we all leave camp. So now what we shall do is I'm going to show you. I'm going to go talk to this vendor now. As you can see, she's not getting angry at me, or anything like that. I can talk to her.
Need something?
Let me see your wares. And see, her attitude has not changed towards me. She is still quite happy with me. And what I can do is, if I flick down here, you'll notice how a lot of her cash is still separated, but now she has a full new stack of gold. And basically you can then just repeat the process. As long as you have the ability to follow the steps I've just shown, you can do this as many times as you want. So basically, if you can make yourself as rich as you want, depending on how much food you have, how much supplies you have. Even one thing you can even do is, you could technically, if you were being ballsy and trying to steal all of her cash, you could steal some food from her to help with some of the long rest, and you could just keep doing this cycle over and over and over again until you got as much gold as you could physically get from her without running out of resources. And it's basically that easy. You can basically repeat this process on loop. Later on, you will get access to a few other things, such as Feign Death, of course, and Fog Cloud, to help improve your chances even more, because if they're Feign Death, you don't even have to worry that if you get a failed roll, because you will just basically instantly succeed with that. But this is just for those people that don't have access to Feign Death or the Fog Cloud the Feign Death Fog Clouds combo yet, or just Feign Death. because this is how you do it, like an easy way to steal before you get that. It's got some risks, but you get there. Now, as I said earlier, there are some other things you can do to increase your easiness to steal, and two of the items are here, one of which is in the next area. So if I go to, pretty much I'll fast travel to the Blighted Village, and I'll quickly go over these right now, just so that way you guys know. One of which is actually, depends on how you want to go about it. So down here you've got Auntie Ethel. Now if you go and do Auntie Ethel, and pretty much during her quest, like there, I might not want to add, I probably put a spoiler warning at the beginning of this, but when you're down the bottom of the map with Auntie Ethel, pretty much after you beat her, as long as you didn't kill her and get her basically almost like, I think it's like 5 health or less during her fight without the girl dying, she will give you the option of getting a special reward, which gives, she basically is going to rip off part of her scale, but it's basically, when you consume it, will raise one of your stats up by 1 point. So like for a perfect example, if I did not pick the feat I did, if I instead picked the ability improvement, because say I didn't want a glaive, say if the weapons I had access to were all the ones I wanted access to, and I wanted to just do ability improvement instead, what I could have done is I could have chosen that instead and put two of my points into dexterity, and then gone to Auntie Ethel, did that mission and used that and got a dexterity one as well to put me at a straight 20 for dexterity. Make that easy. The fight itself is not exactly easy, like especially if you're doing it as early as this, because as I show you with the map, I've basically done nothing. As you can see, this is literally all of the map I've done unlocked. I've pretty much done very, very little to show you how early it is you can do this entire method, and you pretty much don't even have to start on this vendor. Pretty much you can, like I went through here because you get a bit of XP via passing this checkpoint and doing a few things in here, but honestly you can do it at any vendor. It just really depends, as long as, like, best case scenario, you want a vendor that hasn't got anyone's gaze upon them, so that way you can get away with it. Some other things you could add as well are the 2 armors that you're seeing on screen now. Now, I believe I made a touch upon this earlier in the video, but if I didn't, the first one that you see out of these 2 armors, the spider silk armor, you actually get from Mithara, who is the drow leading the goblin army. If you don't end up having her recruited as an ally, and instead you kill her, you can get this armor, which gives you a +1 bonus to your stealth and advantage on constitution saving throws. That +1 bonus in stealth is a great thing to have early on in game, and usually I always give it to my rogue character. It also looks pretty cool as well. Now the other one, however, this is the one thing that makes this set even more powerful, because if you're someone like me who didn't go for the first feat and went down to the weapon master, so it pretty much turned your 17 to an 18 in terms of dexterity, with the Graceful Cloth, you can actually put yourself to a perfect 20 in terms of dexterity. Here's the thing though, it's actually not that hard to get. What you have to do is you have to make sure you walk your happy ass to the top corner of the map, the top left corner, and you'll come across, of course, like Githyanki attacking the people. If you have Lae'zel and can pass a few checks, like you literally just try to convince her to play along, succeed that, and then get through that. Once the Githyanki leave and you follow along that pathway, you will get access to the beginning area, but just before the mountain pass, even though it'll tell you it's like, don't go this way unless you want to wrap up quickly. This is just like, most of the time from what I've seen, that's just like it not really taking much of an impact, so I don't know whether that actually does impact anything or not. But when you go through there, you'll come like after once you walk down the pass a little bit, and you make sure you walk down any downwards roads, not up. Eventually, you'll come across an old lady after a sharp turn, and she will be like, she wants to again, she wants you to steal a Githyanki egg and all of that. However, she's got a few good things to trade. One of which is this graceful cloth, which gives you the cat's grace and increases your dexterity by 2 and to a maximum of 20, as well as the skill nimble as a cat. You gain 1+ bonus to dexterity saving throws and also increases your jump by 1.5 meters. Now, before I say anything, while we're still on this, I will touch upon that feature that it said. It said it gives you the cat's grace, which is basically that's its own extra thing, which you have advantage on dexterity checks and only take half damage from falling. So anything that's like a check for dexterity, you basically always will have advantage on it. And when it comes to the main armor itself, basically if you've done everything like I did, and you won't even need Auntie Ethel to turn your dexterity to 19 with that, or 20 depending on what you're doing, you can literally do that with the method I showed beforehand in this, because as you saw, by with the way my stats were, I put with just my feet at level 4 and my equipment, I had my dexterity at 18. Slapped this armor on, the graceful cloth, and I put myself all the way up to 20, which is, for a rogue type character, it is amazing, because you pretty much have what you want. Everything you could need is now right there for you. So if you ever get the chance to get this particular armor, I would heavily recommend it. But until you can get that cloth armor, because some people might want to explore all of Act 1 just in case before going on to 1.5, I would probably recommend the Spider Silk armor until then for your rogue, because it gives you that bonus on stealth checks and advantage on Constitution saving throws. So it's quite a nice little mediator from one to the other. But during Act 1 and 1.5, this is pretty much the two armors you're going to want to have on your rogue. And as I said, the Spider Silk armor is on Mithara, and the graceful cloth you can buy from the old lady that's near the Githyanki creche. So either way, up to you. Guaranteed though, literally, if you can get this armor and before you go into the Underdark, pretty much if you set your rogue up the way I have, you will have a rogue that's basically at level 20 dexterity, and with that, legitimately, you can do the Feign Death skill trick with, later on when you get it, but now you'll have a rogue who is perfected in the art of stealing, because, unfortunately, you can't push your dexterity past its maximum, which is, of course, 20. So that's just something to think about. But for now, my good people, I hope you've enjoyed the video so far. Leave a like, subscribe, check out videos, and we shall see you in the next video. Thank you and goodbye.